would say my two great loves in life are nature and storytelling. And with storytelling, the climate crisis and the biodiversity crisis, it is the most important story of our time, of our species. And I always think about this, that, human beings we love stories. It's part of what makes us human. And we love these grand epics and these heroic films. And this is that story. This is the story of, this is the moment where every human being needs to pick up their sword, whatever that looks like for them. It might be a pen. It might be, who knows? But it is the greatest story of our time. And it's this, and I hope it is the story of how our species will reweave its place in the web of life. But it's like, as a storyteller, how could I not tell that story? How could I not be part of that story?
Welcome to the Mongabay newscast. I'm your co-host, Mike DiGirolamo. Bring you weekly conversations with experts, authors, scientists, and activists working on the front lines of conservation, shining a light on some of the most pressing issues facing our planet and holding people in power to account. This podcast is edited on Gadigal land. Today on the newscast, we speak with Willow Defebaugh, the co-founder and editor-in-chief of Atmos, an award-winning magazine covering culture, nature, and climate. She is also the host of a new podcast series called The Nature Of, featuring prominent voices from the nature, conservation, and media sectors. As you'll hear me mention several times on this episode, I cannot recommend her podcast enough, which has some guests we've even hosted here at Mongabay, such as Dr. Ayanna Elizabeth Johnson and Amy Vitale. As a podcaster myself, I deeply appreciate how Defebaugh weaves together science, nature, and culture, making them relevant and vital for the listener. We talk about why this is important, how art and culture together with science is a lifeline for science communication, making what can be abstract topics have emotional depth and consequence for individuals and society. Defebaugh describes the philosophy behind the nonprofit outlet Atmos and what drives and inspires her work, covering topics such as biomimicry and spiritual ecology. Most importantly, Defebaugh really nails how you, as the listener, can think differently about your role in the natural world, which we are already a part of. However, as she explains, we need to rethink our relationship with nature, not through an anthropocentric lens, but rather one that is biocentric. Willow, welcome to the Mongabay newscast. It's great to have you with us.
Thank you so much for having me, Mike.
So I just want to say congratulations on your podcast series, The Nature Of. I am a huge fan, as I was explaining to you earlier. I am also really inspired by the attention the podcast has gotten. I'm really glad to see people listening to it. It's a really fantastic season. Can you elaborate on the significance of the title, The Nature Of? What is the significance of the title and the theme of the podcast?
Of course. Well, first of all, thank you so much for listening. It really, really means the world. It's been such a joy to create this show. The title was one of the first things that came to us, and the concept really came from wanting to dive deep into the nature of a number of different topics. So something that we've always been really passionate about with Atmos is kind of bridging climate and culture. And part of that means inviting people into climate conversations and environmental conversations who maybe don't realize how their work connects. And, a perfect example, the first episode of the first season was with Esther Perel, who's, one of the world's foremost relationship experts and couples therapists. And she was so excited to talk about the nature of relationships because she doesn't often talk about her work in conjunction with the natural world, which I see as really a series of relationships. So the title was really meant to be about diving deep on each of these different subjects, delving into the nature of relationships, the nature of music and sound, the nature of food, etc.
Yeah, I mean, I really actually enjoyed that episode with Esther. And as you say, you open the episode by saying that you see nature as a series of relationships, and you talk about our interdependence. And I agree that we just don't hear enough people talk about nature with this lens. And so I wanted to ask you, if nature is a series of relationships, where do humans, fit into that? And is your view more about biocentrism than anthropocentrism?
Yes, definitely. This is the question that probably occupies most of my thinking most days, is how humans currently are fitting into the wider web of life. For so long, our definition of nature has excluded humankind, right? Nature is this word we've come up for that refers to anything that is outside of the realm of human society and things that we've created. And there's a whole movement, the We Are Nature movement, which is seeking to actually change those definitions, because I deeply believe that language matters, and how we talk about the world shapes our experience of it. And so the word that we have that is most applicable to life on Earth, we've excluded ourselves from. And that's so deeply telling of this greater schism that we have created between ourselves and the rest of life on Earth. And I love that you brought in the term biocentric, because that is so much of what this work means to me, is just realigning ourselves with life, right? That's what bio means. Bio means life. And to me, life, nature, these are kind of interchangeable terms. And they're things that humans are inarguably a part of. And I'm so passionate about helping people wake up to the fact that they are already deeply embedded in the web of life. It's just a question of how conscious we are to it. And the more we begin to wake up to that, the more we can start to repattern our place in the web and our species place in the web, because we have so many helpers, so many other species who we can learn from, and we get into this on the podcast, on the design front or the solution front. And I'm so passionate about reweaving those connections and helping us to understand ourselves as part of nature, not at the top of some kind of pyramid.
Hey, and thanks for tuning in to listen to the first few minutes of this interview. There's a lot more to it. So if you want to hear the full conversation, find the Mongabay newscast wherever you get your podcasts from and click subscribe. You can also get each new episode straight to your inbox by subscribing to Mongabay's weekly newsletter at mongabay.com. If you really want to help support us, you can also donate to us at patreon.com/Mongabay. Don't forget to leave a review. And thank you, as always, for listening.